What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today once again we're going to be talking about a couple of random Destiny 2 related topics, a cool detail inside the tower, a bunch of mysterious bosses showing up around the place, some more faction loot, and some other interesting stuff as well. Starting off with something pretty random, and it's yet another one of those cool things inside the tower that you might not have noticed. I didn't even notice it until recently, but it's on the wall inside the hangar here. So this is one of those site safety signs, and it displays how many days it's been since the last accident, and the same in some other languages I can't read. I'm not even sure if these are still real things or whether they're just jokes by now, but it's something you'd sometimes see inside industrial workplaces, kind of an encouragement for employees to not have accidents and be safe, as to not mess up the streak of how many days it's been without an accident. So you can actually go ahead and have an accident, i.e. falling off the tower, and the counter is going to reset back to 0, which I thought was pretty funny. So it does count if you die, it messes up the streak, and it goes back down to 0, and then after like 10 minutes or so, it'll go back up to 1 and count that day again. I'm not sure if this ties into some kind of bigger Easter egg, I kind of doubt it personally, but there you go, pretty cool detail nonetheless. Now, something else I've been asked about quite a lot in the comment section and on Twitter are these weird sorts of secret enemies showing up on Titan that weren't there before, and the answer is that they're simply part of the flashpoint on Titan. One of the aspects of the weekly flashpoint is that special unique bosses show up on that location during that week that you won't find normally. So one you may have seen before is the Saber Shank that shows up in the heroic version of the Fallen Walker event. Not sure what he actually does. His name suggests that he heals something, probably the walkers. But I've done this event probably 15 times, and he's always died before he did anything. So I'm not sure what he actually does. He always dies pretty quickly. Another public event enemy you'll find only in the Flashpoint is essentially the Dark Blade from the Taken King Strike. In the Hive event, he'll also rock up when you activate the heroic version. He does still teleport around just like Darkblade did, but obviously he isn't as strong. And you can see me getting like 10 frames a second, nearly breaking my PS4 with the Orpheus rig with all supers going on. But this is a pretty cool event and definitely is even more chaotic with this Darkblade running around trying to stomp you. Now there's also these two sort of high value targets, being a Sword Knight and a Wizard. Now both these are servants of Savathun, which again is more hints of her being a future enemy. Now the reason I say they're sort of high value targets is because they don't drop chests or loot like the other ones do. And this causes a lot of confusion because it seems like you should get something for defeating this super tanky mini-boss, but nothing ever happens and people wonder what the point of them is. But yeah, there isn't really a point to these roaming guys. They do have a small chance at dropping legendary engrams and tokens sometimes, but you don't get them every time, which makes them a little bit pointless. But those are 4 of the special enemies. There may be some more in other areas, but I've only seen these 4 in the main sections. And of course, every week there's going to be these unique kind of special bosses showing up during the Flashpoint that you won't see it normally. So I also want to talk a bit more about the factions and explain some of their loot tables. Of course, we had the reveal of the faction rally and what it's about. We saw the full gear sets with every piece of armor and their shaders, but we only saw some of the weapons, and a common question is if those are all of the weapons. But as it turns out, there are still some more yet to be shown off. Obviously, they're still pretty much reskins of existing weapons we've already seen and have in the game, just with different perks and faction skins, but each time a faction rally arrives, which we assume is monthly, there's going to be some new weapons up for grabs in the rotation inside these loot packages. So think of it like Iron Banner, how each month some different weapons and armor are up for grabs, except with Faction Rally, it's a bit different because the armor will always be available, every single piece, but the weapons are only a select few out of the total amount that of course exists. A good example of this is the Future War Cult Sidearm, which was a super rare drop inside the beta. Wasn't very good, but it was another Future War Cult weapon we haven't seen yet inside the game, and this of course will be inside those loot packages in a future rally. Of course, those 3 weapons that the winning faction sells are also examples of this, so the Dead Orbit Scout Rifle, the New Monarchy Sidearm, and Future War Cult Pulse Rifle. Only one of those is going to be sold, but the other 2 that lose won't be around for a long time until they're inside packages, which could be months down the line. Now, something I've seen a lot of people suggest which would make the event a lot more cool would be if each faction had an exotic weapon. Like, imagine if there was 3 faction exotics and each one would be faction themed, like a black and white Dead Orbit one, and each month of course the winner would sell their exotic, and there might be 2 that won't be around for months at a time until that faction wins the rally. But it's things like that that I really hope exist in the future for Destiny 2. We saw the Destiny 1 events evolve and improve pretty significantly, but Destiny 2 has just begun, so I'm hoping some of these cool ideas come later down the line. So next up, I want to show off some more of the really cool concept art that Bungie recently released. You guys really enjoyed the last art that I showed off in a recent video. There's a ton more interesting stuff out there that I want to showcase. Now, these ones are all from Dorje Bellbrook, who you might recognize. He's made a ton of Destiny 2 stuff I've seen before. Now, one of them was an early concept of the Almighty that at one point was going to be hidden inside an asteroid. So you can see the trapdoor that opens up and reveals this missile, which was what was going to blow up the sun instead of the huge kind of siphoning device it is now. There's also some other concepts of the Almighty. Some of it is a missile, others with completely different shapes that look like things out of Star Wars. Now there's also the Spire, which of course is the trial social space, and there are some really early concepts of what it could have looked like. It still looks similar to what we have now, but nowhere near as weird or abstract as the final game, of course. It's still on that kind of icy planet, and you've still got the idea of multiple platforms, where the more you win and the more flawless you go, the more platforms are unlocked, giving you more loot. There's also some alternate looks at what the Callous Throne Room looked like, the final boss room inside the raid. One is kind of like this black hole behind him. You can see the Councillor Scions looking a bit different, standing instead of being in the orbs. And then there's this giant mold of Callus's head, which is really, really weird looking. There's also some really detailed ones of the Traveler's Cage, showing the way it attaches and extends. And these are things we don't even see in-game, but the designer still thought of how it would work, with these little jetpacks on the little things that go around it. And this is a concept of, I think, the Traveler waking up. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it looks really, really crazy. And to me, it looks almost like a giant evil, like, Hive face with the 3 eyes up top. But there you go, been a rundown of a couple random things that I thought were interesting inside Destiny 2. As always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always much appreciated. If you want to watch another Destiny 2 video from me right now, then click the image on screen. And I'll see you guys in the next one.